going to start jumping into like what we've actually built. And to do that, I'm going to show you guys kind of a demo. So cool demo is you can, looking at this picture that we got from Nouns DAO or Nouns Japan. So if you save this image, right? So imagine you wanted to find a way to turn this image or create something like this image from a text to image model, right? You could save the image. You could go to something called Clip Interrogator, which is really good at figuring out what the content is in an image. And then once this loads, you're going to go to the tool that Honk built this week. So I'll let Honk spend a little bit more time talking about it once I get through this kind of like initial intro. But this is the start of the Nouns AI Pod Playground. So you guys should be able to use this if you want. We're still working on queuing, so you might take a second before it loads your actual image. Might still break, but I'm really happy that we got this proof of concept working. You can turn anything you want into an image, and it has a learned embedding of noggles in it. So here's just an example. And so like the three things we're looking at here, the prompt tells you what you want to create, the number of steps, how long do you want to create that image for? So if you go to 1 and you generate this image, you're not going to see anything, right? But if you go to 50 and you generate the image, you're going to see that it's going to take a little bit longer, but you're going to see that higher quality image. And that's kind of like the steps, or how many steps you want to take learning this image. If we go back here and grab this output, a man in a yellow robe and pink glasses, inspired by this artist, featured on yada, yada, yada. Some of this doesn't really even make sense to us. Like, what is blingy or exploitable image? I'm not sure, but it's in that latent space. And so if I drop this in here, and go ahead and have it generate something, we got something that's not dissimilar.
Does the seed matter?
Yes. So the seed is going to totally change what the image that you're creating is. And what's cool about that is, and what we're working on and what Honk's working on, and actually I'll turn it over to him right after this, is, imagine you're able to generate 25 images instead of just one. You're going to have a lot of really good quality ones, because the seed has a big impact on what the image looks like, because but you can immediately tell, if you can tell pretty quickly if the seed's going to be good or not, and if it's something just associated with what you want. So we're thinking probably going to do something like this, where we have, or maybe a little bit longer, where we have something like this, where maybe like there's fewer number of steps, but if you think that it's progressing towards the area that you want, then you can kind of choose it to like generate a little bit longer with. But yeah, the seed's pretty important. And there's this add frame button that's a little bit of a teaser of what we've got coming. But I'll turn it over to Honk to talk a little bit more about the process behind building this.
And add frame.
Sorry?
Click on add frame. So right now I'm dealing with some infra stuff, but generally speaking, what is going to be happening here is you can generate multiple images and basically, arrange them as you desire in a column. And then there will be a button for allowing you to turn these into a video. So pretty simple for now. Again, just dealing with some infra stuff.
Oh well. All right. So what I wanted to show you guys was the example of what Honk was talking about. So putting those together into a prompt is how you end up with something like this video that some of you guys may have seen. So it progresses. The two prompts that I have it progress from for me in this video is a dog wearing Nouns glasses, noggles, and this is synced to the audio to a hippo, right? So somewhere in the middle, I guess there's something that looks like a bear, but it progresses from that dog to this hippo. So the goal for what we're trying to build right now is enable y'all to build a music video or some kind of video that syncs with audio if you want. Maybe it's an audiobook rendition. Maybe it's just like a voiceover, like for our AI pod. But the idea is loosely grounded on music video for you to be able to upload audio and then kind of storyboard what you want to show up in your music video here. And then press generate and have it just create the whole thing. So we're gonna have some learning sessions, when we get that working, and we're gonna hopefully have a competition around it, trying to incentivize y'all with thousands of dollars or some Ethan prizes to get people to create like the dopest shit, because we think that there can be something really awesome stuff created with this, and we're not gonna be the ones that are gonna be able to create it. So or we'll be able to, but I think you guys are gonna, as a community, are gonna be able to create so many more things that we can't even think about. Any questions about kind of like this side of things? So this is, one of our main pillars that we talked a lot about, AI generated art. Really excited with how this got, huge shout out to Honk for really putting a lot of work in to get a working, demo in a week.
People have been having a lot of fun with it too. I've seen lots of cool tweets.
You'll be able to make videos probably in a day.
Thanks, Honk. Cool. I'm gonna drop the link to it in the square. Hopefully, all right, Honk, would that break it? Or can I drop the link in?
You can drop it. I'm going to be spinning it down for an update sometime in the next few hours to be able to add the video stuff. But
great work, y'all. This is amazing.
Yeah, no, seriously, great work, Honk. Excited to see it come together, and excited to see what you guys build with it. All right.
Can I ask a question about how the frames work? Is it just like it's always going to be a progression between the frames? So if you have one frame or 100 frames, it just always does a progression from one to the other? Is that the idea?
So the idea is going to be that there's going to be a time slot as well for each of the frames. So you'll be able to say, okay, you'll upload an audio, like an audio track, or just set the start and end times. And so say you want like a 3-minute long video, right? It's going to go from second 0 to second 360, right? And you'll be able to set frame 1 at 0 seconds. And then, maybe you set this frame at 360 seconds, and it could progress all the way from this one to this one across those 6 minutes. Or you start adding more frames with different time slots, and then that's how you change the progression. And so we're going to have info sessions on how to really use this super well, because iPod promo. When you guys, actually, just to give you guys an example of this, nope, I'm all over the place today, guys. But if you look at this is the notebook that I used to generate the Nouns AI video. And this is kind of what's getting passed into the model at the end of the day. So it's a list of prompt plus seed plus timestamp, right? But what's interesting is that these two prompts are very similar at the beginning, and so are these, right? And so are these. And the reason why I have them similar is because this is a way to create a storyboard that doesn't, jump all over the place super quickly. So you can have two similar things, a few seconds from each other, so that it's not going to drastically change that quickly. But then you can have two things that are totally different from each other, and then have it rapidly change.
So you could have a guy like blinking his eyes or something before it changes the frame. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Obviously, that's going to take a little bit more time. But I almost think of this kind of like stop motion. It's like, you're almost doing stop motion animation, but way less tedious.
Right.
For anyone that's done any stop motion. I know it takes an expert, because it takes a long time.
Really fun.
Sweet. Happy to come back if we got any more questions. Just wanted to kind of touch on that second pillar. So this is where Steve and Martin have been putting a lot of work into as well. So Steve's already got our production environment, Rocco.dev, up and running. So right now we've got proposals, as you guys are familiar with, but there's a few different things that you guys might not be familiar with. We've got like a collapsible kind of div here, because we're adding more things from proposals. So audio is coming soon. Steve's building an audio upload self-service portal. So anybody like the Noun Square or any shows, we've got anything going on, you can just drop your audio in, get an automatic summary from it, and be asked to kind of like verify that. And then that content's going to be viewable by people on this site as well. So it's starting to become our vision of a repository of knowledge from Nouns that anybody's going to be able to pull information from. And to kind of envision, to kind of paint you guys a picture of what our final vision for this looks like, I've got a couple demos for you, and then I'll turn it over to Martin to talk a little bit more about kind of that future vision, maybe show off some of his Figma designs and things like that. But before I show you guys, and for anyone not familiar with this page, what we're trying to do here is make it super easy to stay up to date with information from in the Nouns, metaverse, really. Right now it's proposals, right? Like that's kind of like the core piece around from which everything is stemming. And these proposals, they have an AI generated summary, and in the future, you're going to be able to regenerate this if it's not perfect. You can already create an edit from it so that you can write your own edit, and we're going to surface those edits that people create so that we can see, not right here. It's not just Rocco's review, but also, Five Oceans made a review here, and Toby's got another for proposals that might be specifically relevant to them. What we're going to add next is, the self-service audio portal, and that's not where we're going to stop. Hopefully, we can start integrating some information from different Discord channels, start indexing those, start potentially bringing in feeds from different Twitter streams as well. And the end vision is something kind of like this. So I'm not sure how many of you guys are familiar with this, but there's a new kind of section of tools called Insight platforms. And they're cool and similar to what we're doing, but we're going to have kind of a bit of a differentiator. So I'm going to show you guys this quick 1-minute demo. Let me see if you guys can hear. I'm going to change the window so you guys should be able to hear the sound. All right. Let me know if you guys are not able to hear sound.
Chances are you've been here before. Searching for files across shared drives.
It's a bit echoey, but we can hear it.
Matching results to be found, which means you've also probably found yourself here, because no one else at your company can find what they're looking for either. But what if we told you that it didn't have to be that way? Meet Stravito, the Insights Hub that's built for you. Search across a variety of file formats and refine results with custom filters to quickly find what's most relevant for you. Save time.
All right, cool. So that's all well and good, right? Like it has a hub of information in one place. And I think that could be really useful, right? But I don't think that that's the end goal. I think that, in my experience in consulting and product management, whenever you have something like this, it becomes a burden to contribute to, and it also becomes a burden to look at unless you're constantly staying updated with it all the time. And that's why on top of that, we want to build, an AI. We want to supercharge it with AI. And a really good visual that I've got for this is somebody last week built this tool called Explain Paper that is going to kind of explain what I'm envisioning here, but with this specific technical paper as an example. But keep in mind, this can be applied to kind of any type of data. So what's happening here is that you can highlight anything that you want to learn about. So in this case, imagine you can ask a question to a bot in Discord around the information in your corpus. So you ask, what's extensive supervision? It tells you, but then you can ask it follow-up questions. And so I think this is where our insight lies. We're trying to turn search from a single query event to kind of a discussion with this AI that can semantically understand what you're asking for, and then go look across. Imagine you're able to ask this question. You're like, hey, I'm looking. I wonder if Nouns have done anything related to AI, right? Then the bot can be like, oh, okay, like what type are you looking for? Like full proposals? Are you looking for something from the NSFW fund? Like, do you know what those are, right? Like, and then you can have a quick conversation with someone, and then you can pass it through with GPT to get a really good response back. So then it looks at the search results it gets, and then tries to create kind of like a personalized way to give you that feedback. So almost imagine we're building our own library, and then on top of that, we have our own kind of AI librarian in Rocco, or that's the vision. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Martin if he wants to talk a little bit more about kind of like the visuals and where we're at with building that out.
Hey, yeah, do you want to, could you pull up the Figma file and just follow me on there?
Yeah, definitely. Let me.
Yeah, I don't have too many visuals yet on the bigger knowledge base, but I can share a little bit more about what the current thing will look like.
Give me a sec. Got too many links. Is that it? Nope. I'm not sure if this is it. Yep, cool.
So are you following me? Do you want to follow the...
Boom. There we go.
All right, perfect. Cool. Let me zoom in a little bit. Cool. So we've had some small updates, I think, from last week. Small things is we've started to talk about a little bit around like permissions and how someone could get access to the reviews, for example, or to uploading things for review. Anyone would be able to see it because the goal is for all the information, especially for now, to just be like public. But for people to submit things, we don't want a lot of like irrelevant things or just like spam or things like that, which I don't think we'll have too much of in the beginning. But the idea will be here, you'll get kind of a button that says upload audio for review. If you click that, it'll kind of prompt you to connect your wallet. You'll and if you don't have access, you'll get a prompt to kind of like go and get access, however that might be. So we're still figuring that out. If the button does work, it kind of takes you over here. You just drop in your audio file or you choose it. And then you'll add a little bit of information about it, right? Like what's the name of the review, what's like a little bit of a description, and then maybe some tags, right? Like if we've got some categories, and then it'll submit. The other thing that's pretty interesting that I've been kind of designing the last week or so is just the actual review page. So this is an example of like what it would look like for a prop, right? So let's say we have Rocco's review for prop 1566. At the top, we'd have the text of like, what did Rocco have to say about this, essentially? You'd have some community edits, so some suggestions for what Rocco should have said potentially. So there could be mine or any random wallet that has access can go in and do something, right? And then based off these edits, I can go in and kind of start my own version of it. So I'm like, oh, I think this person actually got pretty close, but I don't think that's it. So then I would click on edit, and then it would take me to this window here, and you would get the text box of Rocco's review. You edit it and you submit it, and then all of a sudden you have a new edit that's added to the community edits. Or if you want to just start straight from Rocco's review, you click here. And then based off like how many edits we have and things like that, you can request a new review and get Rocco to look at it again based off what everyone has said it. And then at the bottom, you can see the original content, which here is going to be the actual prop, but a lot of times that'll be audio. So that's kind of the latest designs for this part of the knowledge base. Let me try to pull up the my notes for the Notion on the second part of the knowledge base, which I started thinking about. Yeah, I don't have too much to share there just yet. Just starting to think about what kind of questions can we really nail for people? Like what kind of data is really easy, what kind of questions are often asked and really easy to get accurate, right? So some things that I was starting to think about are like, why did prop number 158 pass? How does the Nounders usually vote? How can I get money from nouns? How much is a noun worth? Like things that are pretty generic or like are almost like, I don't know if anyone here is familiar with like customer support, like chatbots. Like ideally it's like those things that are like really easy. And then breaking down like what data can we feed in to get that? So can we feed in all of Discord and connect Discord to the wallets? Can we feed in all the on-chain reasons for voting, all the voting data, and then maybe some canned responses, right? And yeah, that's kind of what I've been thinking about last couple of days, but still very early there, but mostly just thinking through like what does someone really want to know from like an interface like this that they can't easily get somewhere else? And ideally, if this is really intelligent, maybe this is even faster than just going on the Nouns website, right? Like if you want to know something about a specific prop, rather than going to Nouns WTF, you go to vote, you go to the prop, you look at the details. Maybe instead of that, you just go to Rocco and just ask him straight up your question, and maybe he can answer it for you. So yeah, that's a little bit of what I've been thinking about. Sorry, my voice is like kind of dead. I got a crazy sore throat yesterday somehow. So, but yeah, that's what I've been working on.
Yeah, no, that was great. Thanks, Martin. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. You know, this is where I think we can provide like a lot of value. I'm definitely looking for feedback here, right? Like we're gonna start rolling this out, and we're really hoping that people start using it and then give us feedback on how to improve it. That goes with both of these tools, like this as well as the AI art. We're really taking this approach where we want to push out a minimum viable product, get people using it, and iterate and see how they like using it, how people are using it, and so like you working to make it easier to get out of it the things that you guys want. So not 100% sure how it's going to turn out. I haven't built something like this before, but I'm really excited about it because I built a lot of similar things, and I'm pretty confident it's not only possible, but possible to see kind of like some fruits of our labor here, like pretty quickly. Steve's been churning out updates. Not hopping on too much here, but he's been churning out updates behind the scenes. Taking these visuals and turning them into something that's actually usable. There's a lot more that goes into getting an app that's usable and doesn't have bugs that than might seem. But excited to see kind of this come together, and we should have the audio kind of working within the week, and then start working towards once we have audio working, then we're going to get 3 core functionalities. One, being able to search across the corpus of the data, enhanced search. So it's not just like a single question, it's like a few questions. A second is we really want to answer any questions in chats that Rocco's linked to. So, say Rocco has access to the Noun Square or one of the channels in Noun Square, right? Being able to, if there's a question in that channel that has been word for word answered in any other channel Rocco has access to, or across the information, being able to answer that or make a thread and answer that question. And then lastly, the one that's going to be a little bit of a reach is we're going to see if it's possible for Rocco to surface useful conversation or useful information in the conversation. So imagine we've seen people talking about like, hey, has anyone done thrown noggles on a sailboat? And then wonder if anyone's thrown like noggles on a sailboat. And then Rocco is able to like create a thread and be like, hey, you might be interested in checking out this prompt and see what 5ocean's been doing, and have a link to maybe the Discord that it came from, and that person can then track them down and message 5oceans in that Discord. And the reason why also we're stressing on these suggesting edits, right? And in trying to encourage people to use them, even if you don't use them, right? Even if you use the direct AI translation, we want people to be able to drill down, to always be able to drill down from the AI summarized content to the raw content that we've got passed in. So that might not be like, the raw MP3 file, maybe that's the transcription of the whole meeting. But we always want you to be able to drill down to like the full proposal, make your own judgment. And if you want, create another edit that we'll then use to improve the edits made by Rocco in the future. So yeah, that was a lot of me rambling. Hopefully you guys are not tired of me talking at you for 30 minutes. But what are you guys
doing now? Don't seem like you're busy at all.
Taking a load off. But yeah, no, that's what we got. Any questions, comments? Hopefully no concerns.
Chip, are you doing anything on the voice to speech? I remember you were explaining there's like OpenAI or other, they already have it.
So text to voice or voice to text?
Voice to text, for example.
Yep.
I really want to probably have a kind of text version of a noun o'clock, so that we can just search like something interesting. Otherwise, like so incredibly difficult to kind of scroll through the 9 o'clock. But if we have like a text summary of all the conversation, I think that would be pretty cool.
That's the goal. We should have that by next week. We should have the ability for anybody to upload that recording. We'll probably whitelist people at first. So the Noun Square or Noun O'clock, they'd be able to just upload that review to the site, and then anybody would be able to come to the site, see the summary of it, as well as the full transcript if they wanted to.
Yeah, awesome. Because 9 o'clock is like sometimes it's really hard to be like up at night, but I really don't want to miss it. And,
definitely,
it's hard to find time to.
Awesome. Thanks for the shout, because that helps us know that we're building in the right direction. So definitely we'll let you know as soon as that's up, and get your feedback on how we can improve it.
Yeah, man, thanks a lot.
In the meantime, there was a group doing summaries of noun squares every single day. They were funded in our recent prop house, so that's definitely a good solution in the interim.
Oh, cool.
I'll send you a link here. I just posted a link in the chat.
Thanks, Tony.
But of course, that's human beings doing it, so I'm sure even they would be happy to have some AI generated summaries to make their jobs easier. I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the vision, right? There's AI generated summary, and then someone who went and saw the noun, or noun o'clock or the noun square or whatever gets uploaded. They can go in and they know if the edit is correct or not, right? Like there will be edits that are missing information or mischaracterize something said in the meeting, and that's where we're gonna, that's where people who are doing that kind of stuff are really helpful, right? Because they can, instead of having to generate it all from scratch, they can take something that Rocco's created and then just iterate on it, right? Like add a little bit more, take a little bit, change it a little bit, make the language a little bit different. And that's exactly what we're looking for. Because if we can get, a few hundred examples of that over time, then we can take those and pass them back into the model and then have Rocco try and kind of move his answers to be more similar to those that were edited by, real members of the community.
Well, let me know when you get to that point. If you want to do some testing, I can connect you to the team that's working on that, and maybe they can help you with the feedback loop.
Huge. Yeah, no, thanks, Tony. Definitely will let you know. Well, cool. That's all we got for you guys. Trying to keep these guys a little bit shorter. I know an hour is a long time, so trying to keep them a little shorter, high signal, low noise. Showing you guys our progress and kind of our vision. So if you guys have any questions, always, feel free to DM me on Twitter. That's how we're going to probably also sort out access, just through DM. At least access to, we're gonna have everything's gonna be readable, but in terms of like uploading audio, because that's gonna be a little bit more intensive on the server, and like summarizing that, we're gonna start whitelisting people to do that. So we'll probably reach out to people that we know will be very useful for it. But if there's something that, I'm sure we're going to miss people. So feel free to always reach out to me. I check my Twitter DMs. Often there's a lot of spam in there. So maybe if we follow each other, it's a little easier, but, feel free to send me a ping and, can get you to it. Ask any questions, in chat as well. Happy to answer those. We're doing this for the community, that's what gets me hype is seeing people use the tools. Just seeing some of the content generated with Noggles in the chat right now, definitely put a smile on my face. Definitely love hearing some feedback and seeing people use the tools that we're making. It's what keeps us going. So thanks everyone for hopping on the call and giving feedback.
It's crazy how far it's come with making those Noggles, man. Like I remember just a couple months ago, it was having a hard time, like making anything that resembled Noggles, and didn't take long.
Yeah, and a bit of iteration, a bit of updates from outside of our side. Like they released a new version of Stable Diffusion, and then I've gotten a lot better at how to do textual inversion. I was actually talking with some of the people that created the Stable Diffusion Discord, and so they had a lot of experience, so they were able to point me a bit in the right direction on how to get really our concept embedded in there, and it does seem to be a lot better. So I'm happy that we got.
Wait, where are you guys dropping links and stuff now?
We're actually in the Nounish builders chat, but I don't know, and dropping links there. Honestly, my Twitter is where pretty much anything that I find super interesting will get a retweet out of me. Or I'll post on Twitter. So
well,
I'd say,
I know, we share the link to Honk's.
in the general chat of this call. In the chat of this call, yeah.
We should build maybe a Twitter bot, and any links we put on there go out to any Discords we're hanging out in. I don't know. I got to think about it. This is the problem with fragmentation, right? It's where's our source of truth for things we want to share? But that's something we can figure out offline.
Hey, would it be possible to get the AI to just look for all of the links you guys have put out or the interesting stuff and just compile that?
Yeah, it would. That's funny. Maybe that's maybe that's a future rocket feature.
Yeah, I'm curious. I have a question about. So I'm in like collab and stuff like that, and I keep on getting because I'm trying to do like videos and test this stuff out, and I keep getting like your GPU, like you don't have enough, you run out of GPU power. Is there like another recommendation, or do we just have to like pay for it? And even then, it sounds like you're not guaranteed to get.
So they changed. So Google Colab changed their. So there's a few things. So one, usually when you're doing something like this, you're running into the CUDA out of memory error, which is a very well-known issue in machine learning. Usually when you got something like this, there's something called batch size, or like the number of images that you're generating, maybe the frames per second, or like the height and width. These are things that you can change that reduces the amount of GPU you need on a single machine, because there are notebooks out there that can be run on free Colab. Like they found a way to get Stable Diffusion working on 1 gigabyte of RAM. With that said, some of these notebooks that have this highest quality stuff do require higher more GPU access. But they have recently changed how they do kind of like their provisioning of GPUs. So if you pay for like the premium, if you pay for Colab Pro, you can use a premium runtime. It'll give you you can get a premium class and a high RAM, and then this will give you an A100 on it, which is a computer that we're hosting this on that to rent is like a couple thousand or a few thousand a month. So they'll give you access to that and you can use it, but it burns through your credits pretty quick.
Yeah, and is there a way to use your own GPU if you have it? Or you have to go through, if it's Colab, you have to use their GPUs?
You should be able to connect to a local runtime.
Okay.
But you've gotta dive into it a little bit more. Like connecting local runtime's a little bit easier said than done. And then if you want to just get it run locally, you can. One of the hardest parts of development just in general, and Python especially, is getting your environment working. So the really cool thing about Google Drive is that it does all of that for you. It kind of like configures your environment, installs it, and it knows exactly what like OS this is running on. What dependencies you're going to need if you're on Windows is different from if you're on Mac, is different from if you're on Linux, and there just kind of are some issues like you're getting through that. That's kind of like integration hell, what people will call it, and it's kind of a pain. So you can try it and like have like VS Code on your local computer and just try running this notebook. But unless you have some experience there, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it unless you're really trying to. If you got like a weekend to dive in and figure out how to debug the areas that you get through.
Okay, maybe I can just pick your brain for some keywords to search, and just so I have a bit of direction there.
Yeah, I mean, if you have like a specific question, just tweet at me with your question, and then I'll follow up with some links.
Yeah, and to the Nouns community, I was just wondering, like, what if we took like the entire treasury and just dumped it on AI and just become like Nouns, just became like the AI, like the most supreme AI hub in the universe, where
that's been the plan all along.
Yeah, I think that's what we're trying to do now.
Could we get Rocco to host the next 11-hour spaces we do, please? That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. Cool. Anyways, I love what you guys are doing, and keep it going, man. This is awesome stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, hey, we're building this out to try and prove out this works. I definitely have one of the parts of our Nouns AI Pod proposal was also partnerships, right? So if anybody has a specific use case for machine learning that they think, that they're not sure if it could be useful, but potentially could be really useful. I do have a lot of friends who do AI ML research that are up for doing like little projects that like, AI Pod could fund them for, a little bit of an exploration to try and get like, a paper implemented or a proof of concept working. So we can kind of like, act as a little bit of a small grant for them to kind of prove something out. And then, if it works for whatever the use case is for, somebody else in the Nouns organization, they could run with them and help them kind of maybe create a proposal or get funded from NSFW or something like that. So if there's anything that's like a really low hanging fruit that you guys are like, want to implement this, one thing we had been considering was for esports, there's a paper out there that train a machine learning model to help you pick counter picks for, League or Dota. If that's something like super interesting, we could push towards doing something like that, try and get like, an ML engineer to implement that paper. But yeah, like if you guys have thoughts about that kind of stuff, definitely don't be a stranger. Feel free to DM me.
Yeah, so here's my use case. This is why I'm burning through like GPUs, because I'm gonna do a VJ. There's like a post Halloween party this weekend, so I'm kicking out video to use for VJ content. So I'm gonna use like AI VJ content with pumpkins and skeletons and stuff. I would have no problem like throwing nouns in there, and if I didn't keep running out of GPU power to kick these images out. But
that's what we're powering for you. So that's what this is. That's hopefully what this is to now allow you like VJs to like create a storyboard, and then instead of having to deal with collabs or whatever, you just generate 10 images over here, and then you're like, oh, okay, I want this one to be at 10 seconds. And then you generate another one, you're like, all right, I want this one to be at 30 seconds. And then you just storyboard it, and then you click generate, and it just does the whole thing for you.
But this is just single frames that it's kicking out. It's not kicking, is it blending between them?
Yeah, so let's technologically diffuse. Yeah, so here's an example of one that I built out before. And so, I don't know, can you guys hear it?
Yeah, we can hear it.
Yeah, we can hear it.
Use it, break it, fix it, trash it, change it, melt, upgrade it, chart it, point it, zoom it, press it, snap it, work it, quick erase it, write it, cut it, paste it, save it, load it, check it, quick rewrite it, like it, play it, burn it, rip it, drag it, drop it, zip and zip it, lock it, fill it, call it, find it, view it, code it, jump and lock it, surf it, scroll it, pose it, click it, cross it.
So it kind of progresses through. And so like the idea here was to progress through like old analog DJ equipment all the way up to like, like a MacBook, right? And then like keep progressing until you kind of get more toward the future where you've got like VR headsets. And then even further into the future, once you've got your VR headsets, then maybe you start ascending and then
Shep, some of that like glitching, that's like just like the blending happening. Like that's not necessarily like when there's like one image, but it kind of like moves, but it doesn't, not too much of a change. You're saying that's just kind of like the blending starting to happen. Like that's not like every single minute change is a new prompt, correct?
Right, exactly. So what you're doing here is you're creating the prompts that you want to walk to, right? But when you're saying you want to walk to this prompt from this prompt, and this one's at 1 second, and this one's at 4 seconds, and you want to generate 24 frames per second, right? You're going to generate like 100 frames that are mixed. Like one is going to be this image, one is going to be this image, and all of the other frames are going to be a similar image somewhere between this image and that image, and it auto-generates all of that, and it syncs it to the audio.
So does that mean
so that's really where like the art is going to come into this, right?
Yes.
Like the art of like you said, like if you're a stop motion animator and you understand that like the next image I need to have like the hand, waving to the right, the next image the hand at the waist. So those are like the type of things that you can start to really get kind of artistic with.
And similarly to stop motion, if you're doing stop motion and you make 100 frames, like with different movements, it's going to be a lot more fluid than if you do 10. And I'm assuming it's similar here. The more prompts you have with shorter time periods, the more smooth it will be. Is that true?
Yes, exactly. So you could generate an image for each frame if you wanted, right? And then have it kind of like go together. But one of the things I'm trying to show here is like, if you add very little things to your prompt, so I'm trying to get it to go left. So I'm going to add just like a ton of exclamation points here. I don't know if it's even going to do anything, but you can see the image. If it's changed just a little bit, all right, it doesn't seem like it wants to do that. But you can add, I mean, it's starting to get left. Like, so if I remove all of this left, right, and like regenerate it, it's going to move back to a little bit more right, touching the edge, right? So not exactly that, but you're using the same seed, you're going to get a pretty similar image. So yeah, push it, leaning, behind extra crouching, leaning left, and then maybe you can just add it a few more times.
Are you trying to do that Night at the Roxbury sketch where they just bounce his head back and forth?
Yeah, I mean, so that's the idea. Is like you can totally. It's not going to do it for me.
I like how just like a human, you have to tell it multiple times to do something.
Yeah. No, actually, more left. Just a little bit more left. No, a little bit more right now.
It's gonna get better over time. There's this paper called Party from Google that shows pretty much that anything that isn't so like if you gave it a prompt, like a portrait photo of a kangaroo wearing an orange hoodie and blue sunglasses standing on the grass in front of the Sydney Opera House holding a sign on the chest that says "Welcome, friends." If you have a small neural network, you're gonna get something like this. A little bit bigger, you're gonna get something like this. I think this is probably where we're at with the size model that people are sharing around right now for Stable Diffusion. But if you make it big enough, it gives you that guy. So
that's nuts, man.
I hope we never get there because one of my favorite things about AI is the fake language that it uses. When it it's trying to do letters.
Yeah. I find it very hard to believe that we won't be here in about a year.
This is metaverse, dude. This is the metaverse. Like, you're going to be able to, as tech catches up, you're going to be able to put your goggles on, your VR goggles on. This is going to be what the world creates. It's not going to be like pixel. Yeah, exactly. You're going to be
we're like halfway there.
Shep, are you familiar with EPO Labs from last year? Well, they're still around, but they...
Sorry?
Are you familiar with EPO Labs?
No, I'm not.
They had an NFT last year in like August where it kind of made waves because they had a prompt and you just made a prompt and then it would create a painting based on an AI, and then cool. and then you minted it as an NFT. But one of the interesting things that people found is because they had fed it so much Renaissance art and like just art like that, a lot of these painting renderings had like signatures, but the AI didn't know it was signatures, so it was like. All of these pieces of art had these weird squiggles on the bottom right, but they were just artifacts because it didn't know what a signature was. So it was kind of cool.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, totally. Like this is, I love kind of things like that. Like I had a few students build this out this summer, where it's like Wordle, but like with the prompt. So I think, I don't know how you spell capybara.
It's ARA.
There we go. And so you can guess the prompt, and this changes every day. And first person to guess it can mint it for free. Second person to guess it mints it for 0.01. Nice. So on.
Oh, that's cool.
And I love how anytime we ask you for a question or something, you're like, "Oh yeah, there's this paper." There's this huge long explanation of how it works and where it's at.
My students already made that.
My student. Oh, you're talking about something my students did 2 years ago.
This summer.
We're just being self-deprecating.
No, I know. Yeah, no, I love it. Cool. Well, thanks. Yeah, this is love the conversation.
Okay, awesome. So to your point of experiments and things that the pod might want to fund, could you maybe explore that just a little bit more of the type of experiments that you're looking for and the type of partnerships that you think would be, the most interesting to explore as a group?
I don't know if I'm the best person to, I guess I'm looking for you guys on what you guys think is the most interesting. So what I'm talking about for the esports paper, for example, is, let me go search through my messages real quick. I gotta find link. Cool, got it. So there's this thing on GitHub. There's a paper that came out for personalized draft recommendations for winning in multiplayer online battle arena games, right? So there's literally a paper on how you do it, and they have their data set, and they tell you how they did it. There's they have information about how they did that, and it was this year, 2022. So we'd be able, a machine learning engineer or machine learning researcher worth their salt should be able to read, not worth their salt. If they're very good, they should be able to read this paper, look at their code, and be able to implement something very similar, right? So the goal would be, okay, cool, we can take something like this that we know exists, we're gonna try and change it a little bit to our specific use case, and then from there, then it's like, cool, we either see it work or we see it don't, and then, we funded that like a little bit of exploration, and then it can continue to grow. So I guess something like to concretely answer your question, it'd be like something that we've seen somebody else do or seen someone else do a part of that we think would be specifically useful for us and that we don't see like other tools available, and like something that might be useful for like the broader community as well. Just things.
So like forks of existing things that like push the tech forward in a subtle way, but make it nounish. Or like any other, like so like things that pushing the tech like incrementally forward, right? Like you're saying like it'd be more interesting for us and I guess like lower hanging fruit to say this is available, how do we apply it, versus like I had this novel idea, can we make it happen? Because like those things maybe are like too heavy of a lift at the moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, so not in terms of like, yes, that makes sense. The goal would be to like try and do things that would take like a week or two of experimentation that we could fund like, a single researcher to kind of make a proof of concept of, and then be able to go from that to potentially like making a proper something. We definitely want to keep, a lot. We don't want to burn all of our funds on doing shit like this. We do want to try and like keep a lot of them for rewarding the community to actually use the tools that we're building, because I think that's one of like the biggest areas of opportunity for us. But we're definitely open to spending on like, week-long explorations on, just exactly the kind of topics you're talking about.
I have an idea that was called Rocco versus Reality or something like that. And it's like, we do like some sort of contest where we have like some sort of like, prompt, and then like artists or different people like submit their stuff, and then we like include like Rocco submissions in there and see if Rocco could like, if you could beat Rocco. I don't know if like art is the best thing for it. It might be like a tech challenge or some other thing. Obviously it shouldn't be like speed based, but something like that I think could be kind of fun.
How about a TV show called Rocco's Modern Life?
Rocco's Modern Life.
Yeah, I like that.
It already exists, in case you didn't know.
Can we get Rocco to do like there is like this idea that I had about like I want to see like long form memes, so like an entire episode of Seinfeld, but then like overlay with noggles on it.
That'd be kind of
could Rocco theoretically like take longer form video and like start making like higher quality memes somehow? I don't know.
For something like that, you'd want to do like automatic kind of. That's more of like an AR filter. Like you want to identify like a face and then put the filter on top of it. So it'd be a slightly different project. But here, what about this, Joshua? We're gonna push hard to try and get a version 1 of the 2 pillars that we're working on in the next week. And I'll leave you guys to think about potential opportunities for us to push something like that. Does that sound good?
Amazing.
The hour here.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, if you think about it, those pillars, like if you can make a music video, then you could theoretically make a cartoon show or like map one out, right? Like
totally.
It's all there for the most part. So I think what you guys are working on is fantastic, and I can't wait to make the first music video, dude. It's awesome.
Thanks, Woody. I'm hyped to see what you make, man.
All right, thanks, Nouns AI, for coming and gracing us with your presence again today to tell us what you're working on. It's always interesting.
Thanks for having us, Tony.
We look forward to your next update next week. Coming up on TNS today, just for everyone who's listening in, we do have a SoapBox with SharpDAO. That's at 12:30, right, Cryptasha? Cryptasha, you there? Josh, maybe?
A little bit to get to the phone. Yes.
Okay. What do you guys have planned for us at 12:30?
I'm gonna check in with Josh a little bit. I know we have some creator contests. We have Halloween announcements going on too. So
Very cool. Anything to add, Josh?
Nope, sounds good. Come hang out with us.
All right, sounds good. And then also, so today is Tuesday. What else do we have going on today? We've got obviously 9 o'clock live at the Noun Square. That's going to be at around 3:10 p.m. today. And we have Jacob joining us from Zora to talk about the new Nouns Builder client that just launched. So that will be very interesting. Recommend that you try to tune in if you can. That's at 3:10. Blooms in Season, which is a soapbox by Food Nouns. That is at 6 p.m. EST this evening. And then we also have Tiny Dinos. Of course, it's Tiny Tuesday at 8 p.m. this evening. That's the whole schedule for the soapbox. Also, Prop House Weekly is today, moved from yesterday so that it didn't conflict with the 11-hour spaces we did yesterday on NOC. So, Prop House Weekly, we're going to be going over all of the entrants, or many of the entrants to the Prop House Hackathon, the round for which ends voting later today. So that should be an interesting one as well. That is at 2 p.m. EST, so in about, 3 hours on the Nouns Prop House spaces there. So that's it. That's what's going on today on TNS. Hope to see you guys all around. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks again, Tony. Thanks everyone for coming.
For sure.
Talk to you guys soon.
I'll do some editing
Thanks,
and post
y'all.
and get the recording up on YouTube as well later today.
Sweet. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.